to be able to hear, or I don't know if there's any possibility of using the phone also, and
Um,
looking at your screen or something. I don't know.
yeah, then her speakers would get picked up by my mic, and we'd get a feedback loop. She's gonna try the other room.
Okay.
We'll see how that works. Um, the CIDER stream is live, theoretically. Oh yeah, there's a rocket launch happening right now. We're only 100 miles away. When we were down in Orange City, we saw the Falcon 9 launch. All right, so that's going to be half an hour till that launches. um, Stream Cider is working, so let me bring that up on my iPad. Okay, test, test, test. Is that getting into the stream? It says it's getting into the stream. Yep, okay, that's working. All right, we got that running, we got that running. OBS is running. Streaming to YouTube is running. And we look like the Brady Bunch with 11 of us here. Okay. Just waiting for Shirley to make it back in. She doesn't know how to push the button again. Hang on.
Steve, I'm going to ask you the usual little nagging thing here of can you boost your volume to YouTube any?
Then no one will see you. You'll be a black screen. Turn the light on. Turn the light on. We'll see if it's too loud.
Steve, you did not have your headphones on when I asked if you could please boost the YouTube volume any for you.
Okay. Push mine up. Test, test, test. Go to system settings. Logitech. A little higher. Test, test, test. Is that better?
I'm still, it's not
No.
very loud yet. There's a delay, of course.
Yeah. I am peeking into the red now.
Well,
So
that
hopefully.
you, I guess you can't, we don't want to blow it up. So that may be the best you could do.
I can go a little bit higher. All right, we'll try that. All right, I want to move this window up a little high. Nope.
Steve, you're good on YouTube now. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Now what?
Somebody's clock struck 7:15.
That was mine.
No problem.
Your minute fast.
All right, I want to raise this window if I can find out which one it is. can move that up and then drag that down so I can get the next person. Nope. Is it this one? This one. No, I want to stretch it without zooming it. There's what I wanted. There we go. Now we can see names. All right, you ready to go, Shirley?
I guess so. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I hear you.
All right. Well, first, Nick, I want to say thank you for doing tonight's meeting. I want to say MIDI, bagpipes, and hail to the chief. We were listening to the podcast today. So thank you. So, everyone else, welcome to our April CIDER meeting today on the 9th of April. And I'm glad for everybody who listened on sound bites, who might be joining us tonight. And to all our regular members, welcome. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve and let him start. And with Nick, wherever you want to jump in or whatever, and you can take it from there.
Alrighty, let's do a couple of news things, and then we'll get to Nick. Present Apple Newsroom, share, and I want to. There we are. Now it's bigger. So there were a couple of things Apple announced since the last meeting. Ironically, they did a Metallica immersive concert for Apple Vision when Metallica was one of the big bands that didn't want to do any streaming music to begin with. Lars Ulrich, the drummer and founder, was just angrily against streaming music and trying to sell song by song because he was big into the album concept. So if anyone does anyone have an Apple Vision? Have they seen the Metallica concert? We have a little like a tip jar at our office to have we put loose change into it to building our Apple Vision fund. The other big news from Apple, where's the button here? Try it, yes. Can I scroll, allow, yes. Oh, this is cool. I can scroll the other window while I'm in the Google Meet window, so I don't have to switch back and forth. And I can annotate too. So here, the next big news is Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference, WWDC, is going to be held on the week of June 9th. So that's when we expect to see the next versions of Apple's OSs, the Mac OS and iOS, iPad OS, Watch OS, TV OS, Home OS, any all the OSs from Apple. And there is likely going to be a Mac Pro announcement because we already had the Mac Studio announcement last week. Not last week, last month. So they upgraded the Mac Studio with the M4 Pro and the M3 Ultra, which is interesting. The M3 Ultra is faster than the M4 Max because they haven't made an M4 Ultra yet. So we're wondering if they're going to then present the Mac Pro with that M4 Ultra, which is a developer kind of thing, so that's likely where we'll see it at the WWDC. They did a neat thing on the new season of Severance, which was good, and they updated their Apple Vision OS to include a lot of the Apple Intelligence features that have been in the other OSs for now, and they have opened up the Apple Intelligence, adding new features and new languages as well. The enhanced Siri, which was one of the big things that they were pushing in the early days of Apple Intelligence announcements has been delayed until probably next year, maybe this fall, but probably next year. And they removed all of the TV commercials and references to the enhanced Siri from the Apple Intelligence features. Uh, but someone has already filed a class action suit against Apple for false advertising. That they advertised this thing was going to come, and now it's not going to come yet. So that's a little annoying. And then what was the last one? New Apple Arcade games. There's always something new coming in Apple Arcade. All right, so that was Apple Newsroom. And anything new in services? No. All right. So I'm going to stop presenting that. Did anybody else have any news type things that they were seeing this month in Apple? There was a 0-day patch released. A patch for a 0-day exploit, 15.3.2, 16.4.1, I think it was. So all of your Apple devices install a patch. 0-day means it was an exploit that was found in the wild being exploited by the bad guys before any of the good guys even knew it was there. So that's kind of the worst kind of exploit to see. We never want to see a 0-day. All right, so Nick, do you have the presentation button down in your
I
toolbar at the
do.
bottom? Okay, so you can start and present your slides. Now, if you don't know Nick, what rock have you been living under for the last 30 years? Nick is one of the founding hosts of Sound Bites, call-in radio show. They're coming up on 35 years now. Yeah, soundbites.org, bites with a Y. Francis would like us to remind you, if we can ever find out who Francis was, that would be kind of cool. Actually, did you listen to the old tapes when you digitized them, or did you just digitize and upload?
No, I listened to him, and Francis was already on there.
Oh, wow.
Francis predates
Yep.
the old tapes. So,
Yeah, we had a generous listener of Soundbites whose husband unfortunately passed away, but he was an avid Soundbites listener and had recorded a lot of the early shows onto audio tapes before we were even thinking about doing it on a computer. So that was pretty good. And so he donated those, and Nick has been digitizing them and putting it up on the Soundbites archives. So it's kind of fun going back and listening to some of those early shows. And what I find interesting is how similar some of the questions are, but in kind of a different respect. That I just bought a new sound card, how do I get it to work? And today it seems to be I just got a new app, and how do I get it to work?
right.
Yep. Alrighty, so I'm going to turn it over to Nick. Let's see. So if you start presenting, that should make your presentation window bigger.
Right. I will be. Now, here's a question. If I start my slides, first of all, why don't I try it? See what happens. There's an idea. I will grab my slides, and if I start the presentation, it should go full screen. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's find out together, shall we? So I'm here to talk today about. Oh, I can't do that there. That's interesting. Okay.
Oops. Nick pushed the wrong button, so there he's back. So we were seeing your presentation nearly full screen with all the thumbnails of everyone else below it. Let me see if I pin you. Now you got big. We're not hearing you.
Okay. And now I'm sharing my entire screen.
Inception.
So if I, all right. All right, we won't do it that way. We'll do it a different way. All right.
Share Chrome tab
I'm
is
happy
usually
that
the
way.
easiest.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. You'll see all the side stuff, but it's still there. All right. So we're going to talk about alternatives to Twitter, to X, to I don't care what you call it. It's not letting me go to the next slide. Scroll and zoom your presentation. Okay. Okay. Can I do? Cheese and crackers. Okay, there we go. All right, we'll do it this way. So, what I'm going to do is, I seem to have lost the slide. That's interesting. Okay, so first we're going to talk. This is the agenda. All right, so I'm going to talk about what X actually is, because you can't determine what's an alternative if you don't know what you're talking about. Then we're going to talk about some points about X itself. Then we're going to talk about the Fediverse, and don't worry, I'll describe that when we get to it. Then we'll talk about the big 4 alternatives. Well, 3. Well, 5. And a few other alternatives. And then there will be live demonstrations if it works. God bless us, everyone. And then I will take questions. Normally, I tell people, feel free to ask a question at any time. So I have no train of thought. You will not be interrupting me. But in this particular case, if you hold your questions until just before the demonstration, what shows up on the next or later slides may answer the question you have. Is that clear? All right. So let us move on. I forget how I did that. Oh, I scrolled. Okay. So what is X? Well, X is basically a microblogging site. And there are many microblogging sites, and there are many things under the umbrella of social media. But microblogging sites use short, concise, we hope, posts. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to give Steve my slides because I don't put much on my slides. I taught for 20 years, and I don't put stuff on the slides. I talk about it. So you have to pay attention. But I do have a series of notes, and I will give that page to Steve so he can make it available to everybody.
And this is being recorded, so you can go back and watch it again.
And you can go back and watch it again.
Did I warn people that this is being recorded and streamed on YouTube? Turn off your camera if you don't want that to happen.
Right. So it generally short and hopefully concise posts. Generally fewer than, or if you prefer, less than 500 characters. You can do pictures. You can do short videos. The whole idea behind these microblogging sites is quick audience interaction and updates. So, more immediate stuff as opposed to long-range things. And that's engagement. The whole idea is to get you on that site and keep you on that site. And that leads to doom scrolling, if you're familiar with that term, where you just sit for hours scrolling up your screen, looking at stuff. It unfortunately also tends to lead to shallow stuff. You don't get a lot of in-depth. Right. If you go to sites like Substack, you can write whole screeds or treatises or whatever you want to do, and those will be fine. But that's not what this is. This is short, quick, sort of stuff. So I want to give you some points about X. Some of these will be pros for you or cons for you. I take no sides. I have no opinions. The big point, of course, is Elon Musk. This is why many people stay and why many people have left. It depends on whether you think of him as a brilliant entrepreneur who's created multiple wonderful companies, or an unreconstructed Nazi whose father gave him an emerald mine, or somewhere in that spectrum. But Elon Musk and his rules are why a lot of people are looking for alternatives to X. The other problem is it's monolithic, right? Everything is owned by and therefore controlled by one person, one company. So that's, again, a pro for some, a con for others, and I don't care. But that monolithic structure can lead to arbitrary rule changes, right? Often with little or no prior warning of any sort, and almost no way to get around them or get unbanned if you're suddenly banned for something that was fine yesterday and isn't fine today, all of that stuff. And of course, there's little or no transparency. And those are some of the reasons that people are getting off of X, and some of the reasons people stay. So there's an alternative is something called the Fediverse, which is a decentralized, interconnected network of social media servers, mostly microblogging sites. Users can interact with other users across servers through a common protocol called ActivityPub. There's no central authority. It's an open standard. Anybody can set up their own Fediverse server with their own set of rules and interact with every other Fediverse server in the Fediverse. And one account on any Fediverse server lets you follow anybody on any other Fediverse server. So, for example, I'm on Mastodon, which is a Fediverse server, and that's my address, @asknick@mastodon.social. But if you were on, for example, Misskey in Japan, you could search for @asknick@mastodon.social, add me, and follow me as if I were on your Misskey server. Or I could follow you as if you were on my Mastodon server. So it's a wide open thing, so it's very cool. Now, the aim of traditional social media is to make a whole lot of money, and that's why there are ads and all the other stuff. The aim of the Fediverse, according to their documents, is to benefit people. And basically, you can think of the Fediverse like email, right? You use Apple Mail. I use Gmail, two entirely different sets of servers with entirely different ways they work, yet they can talk to each other because they use the same protocol. They use the same mail protocol. So if I send you a message, your server understands that message. Also, anybody on the planet can run their own mail server. And as long as they use the standard mail protocols, they can talk to everybody else who does email. And generally, nobody charges you to send or receive mail through their servers. They may charge you for extra space, but they don't charge you to send a mail. Okay, so there's a potential problem with this, right? Because it's decentralized, if I erase an email, it doesn't mean it goes away because it might be cached on somebody else's server. And that's true for email, and it's also true for the Fediverse. So any post you make could be hanging around longer than you think if you change your mind and decide to throw it away. Clear? All right. Clear enough that nobody's fallen asleep yet? I'm on the edge, but I'm still here.
Clear as mud, as my
that's how
chemistry teacher used to say.
Clear as mud. All right. So there are 3, 4, maybe 5 big alternatives. The 3 big ones count Blue Sky, Mastodon. Threads we'll talk very little about, and Skylight is brand new. but we'll talk a little bit about that. So we'll start, and we'll do these in order of the number of users they have in descending order, because I thought that was as fair as anything else. We'll start with Threads. They have about 320 million accounts. The big thing is this is owned by Meta, right? Same company as Facebook, same company as Instagram, Mark Zuckerberg. So again, depending how you feel about Facebook, Zuckerberg, et cetera, this may be enticing or disgusting to you. The reason that they have 320 million accounts is because you must have an Instagram account to use it. So if you have an Instagram account, you have a Threads account, and they're counting it. So there may be, the number of accounts is not the number of active users. Let me repeat that. The number of accounts is not the number of active users. So be aware of that. It is part of the Fediverse, which is great. And text is up to 500 characters. You can have photos and videos. The pros, no ads so far. Like I said, it talks to the Fediverse. If you're on Threads, you can follow me on Mastodon. I can follow you on Threads. So same. You can also on Threads record and share voice clips. I don't know if that's for the illiterate or I don't know what. Okay, fine. And it has an API, an application programming interface. So if you are a programmer, you can write programs that post to Threads. The cons, you cannot send direct or private messages. Everything is public. It comes with Zuckerberg's Facebook baggage for some people. And it has an API, which means you can get bots. Right? Something that just posts all day long. I'm not going to spend any time on this one. If you're an Instagram user, you can go look at it. If you aren't, you don't care. So I'm not going to spend any time looking at it. Then there's our social. 63 million users. And these numbers change every day. So, it is not part of the Fediverse. It was. I'll get to that in a minute. Text up to 500 characters. You can have photos and videos. They're pretty much all doing that. So that's all pretty much the same. The pros, they actively combat bots, trolls, disinformation campaigns. It is a very non-toxic environment. Now, having said that, as with any of these things, it's a game of leapfrog, right? They do the bad stuff and they fix it, and they do the bad stuff and they fix it. So, while it is generally a non-toxic environment, you'll see some stuff. That's true of all of these, by the way. Nothing I can do about that. It is 100% funded through the pro version. And I'll talk about that again in a minute. And you can have, if you're a pro user, you can have encrypted direct messages. So you can chat with somebody on Counter Social through encryption, which is pretty nice. Again, no ads so far. And according to their charter, they emphasize authenticity, community, and good faith interaction. And it has an API, so you can, use that. The pro version is a monthly subscription, currently $4.99, $5 a month. They were on the Fediverse originally, but they left. And the main reason they left is because the Fediverse banned certain countries' IP addresses. So Counter Social will have some posts from some sketchy sources, like Russian trolls. Some features, like sending direct messages, are only available in the pro version. It has an API, so there is a possibility of bots. But API access requires approval, and they monitor it. So, you're better off with that. But that's Counter Social. Then there's Blue Sky. Ooh, oh, can't do that. Can't do that. Can do that. I'll get used to this eventually. Relax. Blue Sky has a somewhat over 33 million accounts, and that is upping itself every single day. It is the new hotness, right? A whole lot of people who left X moved to Blue Sky. That's where they moved. So if there were people you followed on X, the likelihood is they're up on Blue Sky. You can follow them there. It is also not part of the Fediverse for various reasons, but it is spread. It is its own little Fediverse. It's spread over multiple servers, and it has its own protocol called the AT protocol, not ActivityPub, but AT. And that means that, again, if you set up an AT server, you can interact with it. Again, nobody owns it, which means nobody can buy it. Right? That's the deal right there. Up to 300 characters for text, and of course, photos and videos. Same thing. The big thing is it was created by ex-Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey. When Musk bought Twitter, he fired Dorsey. Dorsey turned around and started Blue Sky. So that was, what he did. So the pros are it is decentralized. So it can't be easily taken down. It can't be bought by anybody, et cetera, et cetera. It is the closest to Twitter in its form and its function. It has a trending feed, for example. No ads so far. Lots and lots of celebrities and news organizations have moved to Blue Sky from Twitter. I mean, a lot of them. And it has an API. And you kind of got to love any site that has Flava Flav, Steve Wozniak, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Stephen King, and Hillary Clinton. And a whole bunch of musicians and bands. The cons are you cannot create custom feeds. So the feeds you get are the feeds you get. And of course, it has that API. So there's the possibility of bots. Again, they monitor and manage, but every once in a while something will slip through, and that's just the way it is. And look at that, I'm doing the right thing this time. Then there's Mastodon, 10 million accounts. It is part of the Fediverse. Text is up to 500 characters and photos and videos. The pros is this is also decentralized because it is part of the Fediverse. And that means there are quite literally millions of people all over the world that you can follow. It has good content moderation in terms of things like hate speech. So they kill people pretty quickly for that. There are no ads, and it has an API. And the cons, no private messages, and has the API. Now, one thing you have to know about Mastodon, and I need you to pay attention here. I'm going to bring it up 3 times. Mastodon is a wide open system. So when we go to look at it, there's something called, it's not the community fire hose, they call it something else, but it's just a stream of every post there. And that means there may be some very not safe for work stuff in that feed. So when we get to Mastodon, and then there's the honorable mention of Skylight. It is a phone app only. It's designed to be a TikTok replacement. It uses the AT protocol so you can interact with Blue Sky people, but it is still very new. There are not a lot of people on it. I'm not going to try to hook up my phone to this to show it to you, but if what you're desperately hot for is an alternative to TikTok, Skylight. All right, so my hot take, I have noticed I get the most engagement, that is to say people responding to me and interacting with me, on Counter Social, with Mastodon a very distant second. But Blue Sky seems to have most of the people that I want to follow. So I'm on all of them. And, your mileage may vary. That's up to you. Now, there are a few other alternatives that are available. This is by no means all of them. I just grabbed a few, and I mean literally a few. Not all of these are actually X or Twitter microblogging replacements because TikTok's on it, Facebook's on it. But they are social media sites, and this is by no means comprehensive. There are so many. There's so many. But that's that. So, all right, now we will go to the demonstration portion. Blue Sky, Counter Social, Mastodon, and remember, warning number 2. Mastodon may show you something that is not safe for work. So if you are at work, cover your screen. But before we do that, any questions? Don't all jump in at once.
Are there tools for?
All right.
You may even be going over this. Are there tools to allow you to post once somewhere and have it show up everywhere else? Because now that there's so many alternatives that everyone has to be on if they want to gather followers, that's a whole lot of extra work.
There are a lot of, that's the idea behind the APIs. And there are sites that have an astonishing number of programs that will do things like that. I just recently found those. I have not vetted any of them, but they exist, and or you can write your own, of course, if you're a programmer. You can write something that says, okay, I've written this post. I want it to go on these 4 sites, right? Or, whatever you want to do. But there are programs that have all been written for that. And at the end, if you remind me, I'll try to find that link. I have it somewhere. And we'll try to find it. Now, the question is, I'm showing my screen, aren't I? So if I were to, Richard Harrison has raised his hand. You may speak.
I had a question about what things you might find this useful for. I'm not really one of those that likes to go out and brag about stuff, so I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter or X or any of those things. So what do other people use it for? I guess that's my question.
Okay, so there are really a few things people okay. One is to talk out there, right? To talk out there. You don't do that. But there are news organizations and perhaps people you would want to follow. So it's an easy way. For example, if you and I'll show you this, but if you set up a filter that says, I want to follow these 5 news organizations, you'll see those posts as they go by. Right. So you're interested in politics. Maybe you follow, one of the political newspapers. You're interested in tech stuff. You follow Flipboard. There's a tech Flipboard. So you can use it to keep up on the news. And the third thing is to share cat pictures. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. But did that answer at least some of your question?
Yeah, I don't have a cat.
Well, 1 out of 3. You can do 1 out of 3. But yeah,
and I guess I really don't have time that I can watch, immediate scrolling news feeds and that type of stuff either. So
right.
I don't know
but
how much I would use this for.
I tend to jump on when there's a news item, that I've heard. Mm-hmm. However, I've heard it, and then I jump on and see what my news people have to say about it. It just keeps me well informed.
Some of it's gossip.
Yeah.
A lot of it is gossip. It depends on who you follow, right?
Right.
Um,
Yes. But like
right.
neighborhoods or if all kinds of things like that as well.
Yep. Yep.
So you can throw
follow
next door
people.
into the social graph that
Yeah. Yeah.
this
Right.
can
Right.
replace.
Exactly.
Yeah. I follow
Exactly.
my airplane and rocket stuff. So we jokingly just call it lurking. If you just watch other people's posts and never read anything yourself, you're a lurker because that
That's me.
sounds better than stalker. But every now and then we'll post. So like the big air show we went to last week, people were posting pictures instantly. Then there's the big air show video people. It's probably just one guy in an expensive camera. I've seen a lot of guys with expensive cameras. Just were posting some amazing pictures that I started trying to save as fast as they would go by. So it's whatever your hobby is, you'll find people doing that hobby. No matter how obscure it is, you'll find other people around the world that are doing that same thing.
Yep. So yeah, and a lot of it is your hobbies. You're absolutely right.
Alrighty, that helps. Thanks.
Good. Any other questions? All right. Now I'm going to see if this works. I'm making no promises. I now cannot. Oh, look at that. Wants to enter picture on picture. Okay. Okay. Let's see what happens now. All right. Now, if I go here and say, who do I want to look at first? Let's look at blue sky. Oh, you can see blue sky.
We're getting it.
This is okay. All right. Let's take a quick look at blue sky. How am I doing on time? Oh, pretty well. So in terms of feeds, the 4 feeds that I decided I wanted to look at, well, there's the people I follow. That's, that feed is there, and the people that I follow are here. Scott McFarlane, whatever, whoever. There's the Discover, which is just, basically everybody. I follow the astronomy feed, which has some pretty nice stuff on it. I follow the developers feed, although that's a little wide ranging for me, but there it is. And then there's a tech thing. Flipboard has put together a tech thing, so that's nice. And you see this little thing down here? Can you see it? Yeah. This takes me back up to the top. And if I have a feed where there's something new, you get a little blue button. So if I click this, I get the new stuff. And that's the main thing. That's home, right? I'm up here now. That's home. I can also search. So I could search for someone. Wow. Okay. Boy, am I glad the top was on that. Okay. So if I search for King, for example, I find Stephen King and Carole King. I can search for Wozniak, and there's Steve Wozniak. So I can search for people, and then I can look at them and decide whether or not I want to follow them or not. And that adds them to my following list.
Go back. There were 2 Steve Wozniaks with different pictures. So I wonder how you tell who's real or not. One is Steve Woz, one is Steve Wozniak. Maybe.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. Well, you're going to find multiple people.
Yeah.
With the same name, and this guy Steve Wozniak is a Fest app guy, Chilluminati, Tony Hawk's pro skater. Probably not the guy.
Yeah.
So you can look at that and see it that way.
He said, yes, that's my real... back on his profile, it said, yes, that's my real name, and I'm not changing it. People are probably trying to complain that he was going after Woz.
Yep. And there it
So
is.
can you contact any of these people or not?
Sure, why not? what I can do is, I'm not going to do it, but if I wanted to talk to Craig Ferguson, Steve Wozniak, I can do that this way. I can say, okay, this is his address, and I'm going to put together a new post, and I put his name in there, and I say, Steve Wozniak, how you doing? Or I could just add people. So
Okay, I can see where that would be valuable. All right.
Now, can the other end refuse those contacts?
yeah, they don't have to answer.
So get inundated.
So okay, right. Better get rid of that. Okay. So I have 5 notifications. You can see that here. This is where Steve Wozniak would see. This is where my email to him would come in. But this is more than just that. This is this person liked my post. These people now follow me. This is where I would get notices, but there are also chats. I follow Jacob Redman, and he thanked me for it. So he might find it here. This is a chat. This is a chat. I've asked to chat to him. So I can start a new chat. And here again, I can say, oh, I want to chat to John Cusack, or I want to chat to Kai Rizdal, or I want to chat to, whoever. And these people, notice these people are grayed out. They're not taking chats. They don't want to talk to you. So.
And the rest of them probably haven't realized how to turn that off yet.
Exactly. That's chats. And here's where I can get more feeds. There are a lot of feeds. If you're a fan of film, if you're a disability advocate, whatever, there's just, boy, do they have a lot of feeds. And you can create lists of feeds, right? And then you have your that you can put whatever you want into it, just like any other thing. And then you have a series of settings, your account information, your privacy. This is where you would say, I don't want chats. Then you can set moderation. Do I want adult content? Do I want sexually suggestive content? I should probably go ahead and change some of these. But you can do all of that. And then you can change your appearance, the color mode, and the scheme, and all of that. So it's basically a lot of the stuff you would find in other places. Like, for example, Twitter. This is the one that Jack Dorsey started. Right? So you get very much the similar stuff here. So the kind of things that you would normally do on Twitter, you can do here. So I follow Bloomberg, I follow Robert Reich, I follow Miss Betty Bowers. Those are in my Discover things. And that's why I wondered. But the people that I follow have posted some stuff. So The Guardian and like that. So you can pick and choose what you want to follow, and that stuff will give you a look into the stuff you're particularly interested in. And then, as with anything, you just have the Discover section where you can just doom scroll stuff all day long. Any other questions about Blue Sky before we move on?
Blue Sky always seemed to me more a Facebook replacement than Twitter. But then what's the difference between Facebook and Twitter? Twitter was short form and Facebook was long form ish.
Ish.
And so for a while everyone had to be on both.
Right. And again, with these things you can be on multiples. And like I said, there's a spot. Remind me at the end. I'll look to see if I think I've got the community showcase. There it is. Okay, so I have that. So we just did Blue Sky. Let's do Counter Social next. Any other questions about Blue Sky before we move on? Going once? Okay.
Is it free?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is absolutely free. And now we're doing Counter Social. Okay, this is Counter Social. It looks very different. Those of you who use Twitter bot or
Twitter,
Twit box, whatever it's called,
Twitterific.
or Twitterific. There are 6 or 8 of them, and that's what this is about. You have the community fire hose here, which is every post on the planet coming through. This is my friends. These are the people that I actually follow. And then these are where I get my notifications. If somebody texts me, responds to me or sends me a post, I see it here. That's what Comfortably Numb did here. If someone favorites is one of my posts, and you do that by clicking the star, I just favorited that post from this guy. If somebody favorited my post, it would show up here. There's also a thing where it's just who mentions me. If they put me into a post, then I see it there. What was I going to show you next? Oh, you can repost something, which I just did. Okay. Or I can reply to him, or I can flag it. I don't want to ever see this. Nobody should see this. It's terrible. And you can do other things, mute them or block them or report them or whatever you want to do to them. But that's that. And here are some of the, I don't have translations turned on. The community fire hose is this one. Why am I pointing at it? You can't see me point. Then my friends and notifications. I can also have a list of my direct messages, my favorites. You can do video calls to other COSO users, Counter Social COSO. And you can get your account verified. And if you have a subscription, you can do that. And of course, you can log out. And also there's news stuff and a search bar. So again, I can search for someone. These also have hashtags. I can search for a hashtag. So there's a whole section of hashtag politics, and you can search for it directly, or you can block it. So I don't want to see anything in politics. So that's COSO, and there are more. But you can't see them. You can add more columns with various things in them, and there's news up here. And again, you can edit your own profile and change things and block your account, or there's a directory where you can list yourself, and you have things you can add, etc., and my preferences. I prefer English, thank you very much, etc. So there's a lot of that you can do, but again, like I said, there are reasons you follow this and reasons that you don't. One of the things that this has is airport reports across the world. So congestion at this airport, backups at that airport, list of what's going on in the air here, there, wherever, weather in various cities that you can follow, space weather, all kinds of stuff. So anything you may or may not be interested in, I suppose, is there. So again, with Counter Social, if I want to follow somebody, I just type in their last name, and it brings up all the Francescos. And now I can see that guy and see what he is and what he does and who he does it to and his posts and like that. Any questions about this one? Okay. And now we're going to go to Mastodon. Again, third warning. I don't want to hear from anybody about this. You may see not safe for work stuff. You may see incredibly not safe for work stuff. You are warned.
So get going already.
Look away, children. Look away. Okay, here's Mastodon. Excuse me. Here's Mastodon. And again, various columns. This is the local timeline, which is where you see whatever's coming through. There are times of the day when things go by so fast you can't even read them. Okay. This is my home site. This is where I see what I want to see. With the things that I'm following. And the various stuff that's available. So, Charles, you have raised a hand.
If things are going by really fast, can you slow that down?
Yeah, you can scroll.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And if I click on something, then it shows up over here. So I can just look at it. That's still going by, but now I can look at this post. And the home thing shows up there when it's not showing up here. I don't care, right? But so you can go through this. If you want to look at a picture, then you see the picture. What I like, and the thing continues to scroll in the background. What I like is that many of these sites, in fact, all three of the ones we just saw, when you put up a picture, it reminds you to add alt text for the visually impaired, which I like very much. So that's kind of nice. And this is the same as all the others. If you want to see the federated stuff, that's the globe up here. You can see a federated timeline. You can go look at your stuff and what you can do, the various things, filters, accounts, invite people, that sort of fare. Invite people is from the old original version of Mastodon when it was still invite only.
Can you
Everybody got what?
I say, can you turn off that local timeline? So
Yeah,
you don't see that
you
stuff.
can.
Just go. But then how do you find new stuff? Yeah, it's it's that catch-22.
Right.
I want to find new stuff, but I don't necessarily want
Right.
to find that new stuff.
Right. Or you can, I don't know, ignore it. I don't know what to tell you about it. You can ignore it, if you want to, but it's there. And again, you can send private messages to everybody, and they're all very much the same. But with this one, so you can, not just you can send a thing, you can add images and video, audio file, whatever you want to add. This one I like. You can add a poll, which is kind of nice. When you go to add a poll, you can add options, and then how long does the poll last, and what's the style of the poll, and all of that. Is it public, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's nice. You can also add content warnings and insert emoji. So, there's that. I don't know how to get out of a poll. Oh, there, probably. Yep, there we go. So that's actually kind of nice. And then when the poll is done, you will see the results of that poll. And you can make it public, or you can make it to your followers, or you can do questions about this one? Every single one of them is fairly much the same, right? In terms of the fact that you post pictures and videos and text, and you follow people and they follow you back, and yada 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 yada. The big thing, like I said, is I get where I get my most engagement is on Counter Social. Mastodon is a distant second. But the people I follow the most are all on Blue Sky. So, people are on multiple. You can be on all of them. Why not? But that's the way it works. And any questions before I close out Mastodon? I'm sorry there weren't more not safe for work pictures for some of you. And congratulations that there weren't for others of you.
Nick,
Charles.
am I assuming correctly that for any of these you have to set up an account, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you do have to create an account. And that account has, hello, how are you? That account has information about you. Come on. There you go. This is my account, right? So you set up your appearance and all of that. In your preferences, you need to give it an email address, and all of that stuff. Your basic account information is your name and your password, and then that's really all. That's really all you need. Your name and your password, and you're in for this one, and you can do whatever you want with it. Creating an account, very simple. When you first go to it, you'll go to the main page, and if you don't have an account, it'll ask you set up an account. Throw in a name and an email, and you're in. Now, like the rest of them, and I mean everything on the planet, they'll want you to put in an avatar, a picture of yourself, and all the other stuff. So, but generally speaking, you can just sign on to any of these. They're all free. Counter Social has a paid version, but you can join for free, and that works out quite nicely for so many people. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? Oh, move on. What are we moving on to? We're done. Okay. I can stop sharing. Steve, you may have the sharing stick.
I have one more
Go
question
ahead, Charlie.
about Google Meet. How do we clap for Nick?
There's a reaction button, little smiley face.
Send a reaction. All right. Well, there we go. I don't know. Now I got to figure out which ones are the. Maybe that's it.
Oh, does this do these things?
No. You need to have
Oh, yeah.
an Apple Silicon Mac with the reaction overlay turned on.
Thank you. Thank you for the applause, everyone. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Tip your wait staff.
There was a 2 thumbs up that did something. So,
All right, that's it. If does anybody have any more questions?
sort of on
Thank you very
on
much.
a opposite tick of that, there was a really interesting podcast from Mike Rowe on the way I heard it, called "How Fast Is Godspeed," and the author got a notification on his phone that said you spent an average of 8 hours a day on Facebook, and he calculated that out, and well, that's over 40 hours a week. on Facebook. And so he went to live with the Amish, and then he went to live with some monks, and just cut himself completely off from technology. And it's interesting that he went so far the other way to
Yep.
to see. I posted a
There's,
link in the chat if anyone's interested to
I was
read
going to
that.
show you the. Well, you. I'll post those somewhere. My daughter decided she needed to get off social media, so she was going to buy something called a nothing phone, which has a very minimal interface, and makes it hard to do anything but make a phone call, send text. I said, instead of buying a new phone, why don't you see if the nothing phone has a front end for Android? And they did. She put it on. It had 4 buttons on it. I forget what they all were, but one was send a text, one was make a phone call. There you go. And that lasted almost a week, I think, before she went back. Yeah, so you can get lost. That's what doom scrolling is all about. It is very common to find people. I see it now all the time. People walking their dogs with a phone in their hand. People walking down the street with a phone in their hand. People sitting at a table with each other at dinner with a phone in their hand. No, thank you. No. My daughter tried that once. I took the phone away from her. She got a little upset about it. I said, I'll give you the phone back, but if you keep looking at it, it's going in the pasta. And she stopped. So,
How old's your daughter?
she's 33 now.
Okay.
This was then. But I'm the first one to say, put your phone down on the table if you're going to get a phone call, if you're expecting a call. I was at lunch with a friend of mine yesterday. He said, I'm waiting a call from the bishop. He's a deacon. I said, well, okay. Bishop trumps me, so okay. That's okay. Or when my daughter was on a cruise, I was at lunch with somebody. I said, just in case, I'll ignore every other call, but if it's Amelia, I'm picking it up. But I see people scroll all the time while they're
That's
while
that's
they're
that's one of the reasons both Apple and Google put in those activity monitors, so you can limit yourself. Limit your children is what it was intended for, but you can
right,
limit
right.
yourself, and you can shame yourself on how much time I spent using that app this week.
Yep. But they, so again to somebody's point, you can look at these things like they're your connection to the world, or you can look at these things as your best friends chatting with you all the time, all day long. You don't know any of these people. They've never met you. You've never met them. That's doom scrolling, right? You get some texts from people. I am on Facebook I post a lot of political crap, but I'm on Facebook for 3 or 4 people that I chat with regularly across the world, actually, because that's where they are. If they were on Blue Sky, I'd be on that more. If they were on Mastodon, I'd be on that more. So you find the community you want to find, right? So if you're into astronomy, like I said, there's an astronomy feed. I follow that pretty regularly, but not because they're my buddies, but because that's news, right? So, you have various reasons you follow different things. Anyway, that's it. So thank you all. This was fun. I had fun. I had fun. Back with you. I had fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick.
We did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the launch I mentioned earlier has been postponed 3 times already. So now it's scheduled for 8:39, but there's only a 20% chance to go for launch. So that's one of the feeds I follow is Next Space Flight, which tracks all of the different launches around. Every now and then, if there's a launch from Wallops, we could see it in Rochester, from Wallops in Virginia.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. Well, usually only for a few seconds and just at the right angle and time of day.
Hey,
So thank you, Nick,
thank you.
and say hello to Elaine.
I will. I absolutely will. Excuse me.
And anything else, Steve?
Well, we can go into some general Q&A if anyone has that. Nick, you can stick around if you want, or if you're done for the night. That's no problem.
Do you want to take a break?
I believe
Sure.
I will be done. Thank you all very much. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
I will send Steve the document so that he can do with it as he will. And I will add the link to all those Blue Sky, the community showcase that I didn't get to show you.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks.
Nick.
All right, sounds good.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, take about a 10-minute break and come back about 8:30.
All right, sounds
All right.
good.
Hey, Shirley, why are you in the dark?
I'm in the dark because I'm in a bathroom.
Oh, okay.
And if I turn the light on, it has a fan, which is very loud.
Uh,
So this is it.
I don't think we were hearing the fan last time you had the light on.
Well, I hear the fan. So this works out well. So Carol, I want to say happy belated birthday.
well, thank you.
Did you get my little thing I sent you?
How did you send it?
I sent a picture to you and said happy birthday yesterday.
I'll have to look. Was it a text?
Did you send it as
No.
an email or a text or an iMessage or a Facebook, or how did you send it?
I sent a text with a picture
Let's see.
about the middle of the afternoon
Okay.
of a deer.
I'm not seeing anything, but sometimes things come through as an odd email.
Okay.
I will check your email and see if it came through that way.
All right. If it doesn't, then again, happy belated
But thank
birthday.
you for the thought anyway.
And I wanted to ask, did you get my message about Easter?
Yes, yeah. We're planning on coming, but
Okay, so it's a yes. Okay.
yes.
All right. Okay, well, I'm going to take my break.
Great.
When was your birthday?
Yesterday.
What?
Yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
You might be able to leave the door open and turn that light on. In the refrigerator.
You know how you jump? When I went through my block, there was a big UPS truck. Yeah. No, I scared him. He came from around just as I was coming, and he went like, we had 2 packages being on. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I scared you." He said, "You were who I thought you were." I said, "Oh," and he said, "You don't really know what I thought you were." It took really weird, but something. It was really funny. Right.
You could sit
Yeah.
outside.
I may have some trouble. some with your free?
Well, I thought it was very
No, not
interesting
now.
website, but I don't use Twitter.
Growing satiated.
Or Instagram. You should have turned your camera off. Whatever. He gave a good speech. A good talk. Do you want any more of this later? If you don't. I'm going to eat smoked fish. So I'm going to leave some of this for you to make another sandwich. There's cheese and crackers too. There's olives. Not pasta. Olives and cheese, except if I open it, it doesn't close very well. How many minutes do we have? 5 minutes? 3. I was going to say, do I have enough time to go to the bathroom? I have to turn the camera off for that.
Interesting. See,
We haven't heard
this
from
guy.
him, so I guess that's
Yeah.
okay. Why is it at 69? Because it's too warm in here. Alright, how long are you going to talk? 10 minutes.
Is this loud? Steve?
Don't hear it. Don't hear it at all.
How about you, Charlie? Do you hear this, the sound of the fan?
I
No.
don't hear it.
No, I'm not hearing it.
You might want to angle your screen down a little bit because we're getting a glare off the light.
Yeah, but that's the light bulb.
Then you're getting a glare right on your face. Yeah.
I'm propping it on the, okay, that's as good as I can get.
Both of you have a little bit of a glow around you, but you're
Yeah, that's
I
the.
know, Steve
you are
has got like,
you are personally visible, and it just sort of lends a heavenly aura to your appearance.
thank you. This is what happens when you try to do things out of a hotel room.
The angels of apple cider.
Yep. Yes, we're at a Howard Johnson. Hence the orange for Howard
Do I
Johnson.
have a glow?
Yes.
My
I
screen's
have
so messed up that I can't tell what I look like.
You have like a little galaxy of lights behind you, but your face is clear.
So that's all the ceiling lights, the kitchen lights.
Right.
You know, it's 77 down here.
Oh, shut up.
Oh,
Beautiful sky. We went to Silver Spring State Park. Beautiful water. Took a boat ride. What?
it snowed here last night.
I know we've been tracking it, so we're leaving Friday for home. So it's going to get more miserable as we go. No jackets and suntan lotion and all that good stuff.
So, will you bottle some of that and bring it to us, please?
I wish I could. It's so nice.
Mm.
It was 90 last week, so this is good weather.
Sitting out
But
in
it's
the
going
sun,
back up.
sitting out in the
Yeah.
sun at the air show was 90. Those
Yeah,
2
that
days.
was miserable.
Mm.
This place has a pool, but unfortunately not working today. No, like I said, 2 months or 3 before we get to this weather.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
So
Mark,
everybody back?
I see
Or
Marty
we-
popping in now and then. I know you had an Apple Vision. Did you? We were talking about the Metallica concert that Apple released in immersive. Did you watch that yet? Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, and I'm not a Metallica fan, but I watched it about 3 times just to kind of look at the camera placement and see how they managed to shoot that. And I think it's pretty cool in terms of the possibilities for future concerts and concert videos that are immersive.
I just found it so ironic that Metallica was one of the most bands with the most outcry against streaming and against the individual track sales and against digital distribution, and now they've embraced it with Apple Vision.
Well,
on MacBreak, one of the guys is his day job is doing massive streaming to hundreds of thousands of people, and he's always talking about how the 3D cameras are coming along, and at NAB this week, who was it? Blackmagic was supposed to release a new 360 3D camera. Haven't heard if it came out yet or not, but he's always saying, "Yeah, it's really cool to see what they're doing and the mistakes that they're making that we figured out long ago, but we're still working on it now." And
yeah, it's, Chuck Joyner is out or was out at NAB last week, and I'm interested to hear if he spent any time looking at immersive cameras.
I didn't get a chance to watch Mac Voices last night, but he might have talked about it.
Mac Voices was dark last night.
Oh,
he didn't have a show because he was still
he was still at
traveling for NAB.
Yeah, and I saw the notification come up, but I couldn't get to it.
Yeah.
One of the Rocket guys I know is an audio engineer for currently with a company called Angry Audio, and so he's out there too. And so he's been posting pictures from the NAB floor, and then Rob Litton from the Jazz Station, he's out there seeing what there is for public radio. So it's kind of interesting. It's one of those sort of niches that it'd be interesting to see what's going on behind the scenes of a typical broadcast. The one thing Rob did post was a completely robotic camera. Like a giant, television floor-standing camera that used to take 3 guys to maneuver around and shoot and keep the cords out of the way. Now the whole thing's robotic and self-contained, and that's the future of television cameras.
Yeah, I mean the Metallica video, the camera placements were real interesting. Plus, they were in a large stadium where they could wire hang a lot of these cameras, and so they would be moving and still getting the spatial photography that's going on. And in some cases, you could be on one camera and see the other cameras, flying across the wire in the background. So
Yep.
it's interesting to watch just for how they did it.
I kind of watch football games to see that, because see where's that
Yeah,
camera flying and how many cameras are going by, and are they on
yeah,
wires, or are they flying cameras?
yeah, yeah. It was pretty cool. And again, I'm not a fan of their music. I'm more sort of Grateful Dead. Uh, but it was fun to watch them do the concert that way.
Yep. Cool. Yeah,
Uh,
that's what
Okay,
Alex
Steve.
keeps saying is Apple's got to keep pushing the content out, um, and developers need to know that Apple is still committed behind the Apple Vision Pro. What
mhm.
my theory is, maybe this WWDC, but probably not from the rumors we're hearing. Well, we might see an Apple Vision non-Pro at a much lower price without all the maybe the eye tracking going out features. So something to
I
make
think
it a little cheaper.
I think they're going to have to make the developers happy, and not only for Vision Pro but also for Apple Intelligence, because my guess is they're going to try and gain some ground back by providing all of the development tools one needs to work with your product and integrate it with Apple Intelligence, whatever that's going to be. And I think they're going to make a push on that because they lost some face and some ground with Apple Intelligence. And then, yeah, making more availability for folks to be able to produce material for and apps for Apple Vision Pro. They just came out with a immersive video app that is produced by Apple. It sits on your desktop and it allows you to import immersive video into it and do some cataloging and library stuff that you can do with immersive video. So it seems like they're saying, okay, here's basically Lightroom for immersive video. We've got it for you on your desktop with this new app. So I think they're trying to help.
Yep.
I don't think we'll see a vision. I don't think, the Gurumers, as I call them, the Gurman rumors, they bounce back and forth from, we're not going to see anything till next year. We're not going to see. I think Apple's done a job of kind of cleaning up the leaks because the stuff was getting out through higher up people. And I think they've said, no, we've got to stop that because we should be driving the message. So I think Gurman and other of the people that we turn to for rumors have gotten less accurate because they're not getting necessarily good information anymore. So, he said they're going to come out with a new one maybe by Christmas. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But who knows? I think what they'll do at WWDC is give lots of opportunities for people to develop for Apple Intelligence and Apple Vision Pro. So,
Yep. Cool.
and I've got to run for Old Mac Gang. We start recording in 20 minutes.
Cool.
So,
Maybe we'll all shift
right.
over there when we're done here.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Yep. Have a nice one.
All right, Steve, you want to restart?
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions we can answer tonight? We won't go too long, so we don't have to stress the hotel's Wi-Fi here.
I have one.
Sure. Go ahead.
It's on my list. See backup. I get this message almost every day. Time Machine couldn't complete the backup because some files were unavailable. Backups will resume when your Mac is unlocked.
Well, some files unavailable could mean that a program was open, so it can't back up a file that's open. And you have to unlock your Mac to let the backup run. So just typing in your password on the screen lock will unlock it. Let me see.
Well, but it never used to do that. I don't know well, I don't know. I try not to keep anything open.
Does it give you
But
a permission error?
No,
What's the
that's
exact error?
set. Hmm?
What was the exact error again?
What they do with it? I don't know. I lost it. Wait.
I'm trying to
I
Google it
don't.
to see what might come up.
Okay. Well, I can find it.
Machine unable to back up. Files not accessible, something like that.
Hmm.
You can try excluding the system files from the Time Machine settings, because they generally are always open and running, and you don't need to back up the system because that can be reinstalled easy enough.
Okay. Yeah, I've got it here. Oh. Okay. It just says, it's the triangle with a yellow triangle with a question mark, or not a question, exclamation point. And it just says it couldn't complete the backup because some files weren't available. But I'll try to make sure. One thing that's happened is for some reason I have a toolkit icon.
Yeah, you probably installed the C Toolkit, which you don't need to do because Time Machine does that for you. So I'd recommend uninstalling the C Toolkit.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I did that, but
It was
how I
on the
would have been.
it was on the click here button when you put the LaCie disk in.
Okay. Okay.
Let me
Well,
see if I can share. Here we go. If I can share my Time Machine settings. Okay, there we are. So if you go into System Settings under General, under Time Machine, there's an Options button. And let me go
okay.
to that window. And under Options, you can exclude things from the backup. So I can go
Oh,
into the plus. So you want to make sure that in that exclude option, are you seeing that window? Yeah, you are. Good.
yes.
In that exclude, you want to make sure that the external hard drive is listed there, because you don't want to back up the backup to the backup to the backup, because that gets recursive. But you can also hit the add button and then pick your system folder so that it excludes the system and the library. So you can exclude your library because those things are often always open by default, and the operating system can be reinstalled. Usually that's what you would do if you have a critical failure. You reinstall the operating system and then restore from backup. So you don't necessarily need to back up your running OS.
Okay. Okay.
And then the message you're getting, is it coming from a notification or is it in the Time Machine window? Because sometimes there's an extra little I for information in the Time Machine window that gives you more information, and it may say what files are not accessible or why they're not accessible.
Um, I don't know, but I'll look at that next time I get it to see.
Yeah, so that's somewhere to look too. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because you always want to make sure the backup is running, because you never know when something's going to go wrong.
Right. Yes, for sure. Okay.
All right. All right, let me get back to this window and I can stop sharing. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
I was wondering if there's a way that I could monitor my iPhone with my iPad so I can like see what's going on and force the iPhone then to take a picture.
You can do it with a computer to phone. That's built into Sequoia.
I have to run Sequoia to do that. Huh?
There are screen sharing programs that will let you do that. Charlie, do you remember the name of that one that you were playing with to screen share to your iPad? That had an interesting name.
Yeah. Are you thinking of Duet?
Yeah.
Not sure it'll do what you want, but go ahead.
So yeah, so that's it's a screen sharing program you'd put on both devices, so you could see your iPhone screen from your iPad as if you were sitting in front of the iPhone, which is what the iOS or the Sequoia screen sharing program does too. If you
So
haven't,
it'll let you take a picture then if you
yeah, you
do
click
that.
the camera icon just like you were touching the physical phone.
Okay, cool.
If you
How much is the app? Do we know?
let me see.
It was free as far as I recall, but
Yeah.
I don't know about
The
nowadays.
only other question I would have is because you're using their little app, does that allow them at the other end to see what you're doing? Is it encrypted,
I
in other words?
don't know offhand, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't think it would go out over the internet. It would just go to your local device.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
Also, if you have an Apple Watch, you can use that as a camera viewfinder and take a picture from the watch on the iPhone.
Okay, so you're saying use the watch to control the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Huh, interesting. Alrighty.
There are
I,
also
I like all those free ways.
yeah. I see. There's a program called Filmic to manage camera settings from a live. Oh, so yeah, if you were using your iPhone as a live camera for streaming, then you'd want to be able to control the settings.
Mhm.
There are several camera remote control apps. Yeah, so I googled control an iPhone camera with an iPad,
Mhm.
and it found. Oh, here's one where you can control up to 4 iPhones.
Cool.
4X camera maker.
Mm.
Yeah, so there are several different ways to do it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, I have a
See
question.
from Apple, something called switch control on Apple. Let me share this window. Here, go share, share, Chrome tab. There we are. So this is built into the OS. Other devices for switch control. You can control your Apple devices. Sign into iCloud. It's an accessibility option called switch control. Oh, so that's kind of neat. So you can use your Mac to control a device, an iPad, or an iPhone, as if you were sitting in front of it. So it's a feature called switch control in the OS. Under
The only
access,
drawback is you have to go through the iCloud to do it.
well, that's
So
how
is that
each device knows what you're setting up. Simple preferences, accessibility. No, you just have to be signed into iCloud on each device. You don't. It doesn't use iCloud.
Oh, so it doesn't actually go through the cloud. Hmm. All right. Okay. Thank you. It's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So is that like meant for something like if you're recording video from different angles and controlling them, something like that, or what is its intended purpose?
To control your phone from another device. So what we typically see would be someone who was using their phone as a camera for a live stream, and you want to be able to change the camera settings on your computer without needing to walk over to the phone, or
And
hiring
have everyone
or
look at
hiring
your
a
little
camera
finger,
person. Yeah.
like me. Here's my finger. But that would work if you were shooting a movie. You could set them up in different places, right? And then control them
Yep.
from one person. You could do a close up and a wide shot at the same time.
Yeah, there's a program, I think it was Filmic, where it would record from the front camera and the rear camera at the same time, so that you could do like an interview where it would capture you and your subject at the same time. Normally, the way they do that is you have two cameras, one pointing at each side, or you do the interview, and then after the interview, they turn the camera onto the presenter, and you film some B-roll of yourself nodding yes and no, and fill that in later.
You just have to be careful where you set people if you
Yeah.
were using the same phone.
Yep. Yeah. Switch control is available on the iPad and the iPhone. Let me see if I can do it this way. Yeah, that's kind of neat. I didn't know that was in there. Thanks, Rick. You look for something and you might find it's already built in.
Yep. Thank you, and you're welcome.
Yep. And I'm controlling my iPad with my iPhone. And I can do it the other way too, to control my iPhone with my iPad. I've got a little command central here with a bunch of monitors. And the trick is turning it off when you're done using it. Yes, turn it off. Cool.
You have to turn it off on the one main device or on each individual device.
Well, if you only have two devices, you turn it off on one, then the other ones don't work either. But if you have 4 or 5 devices, you'd want to turn it off on all of them so you don't accidentally start controlling the other one. It's a weird feature, switch control. I guess it lets you control the switches on another device. So it can be a mouse, a keyboard, a gamepad. So whatever you have connected to your other device.
What OSs did that start under?
Let's see. Let's say, what Mac OS introduced switch control. 10.7. So that's been in there a long time.
Been there a long time.
10 years?
You just got to make sure they haven't taken it out.
15 years? Well, it's still in Sequoia on the laptop. What am I doing? And OS 17 on the iPad. Because it's an old iPad, it can't go up to 18.
All right. Well, it's a good indicator then.
Phone is on 18. So that's going across 3 different OSs on 3 different devices, and it worked.
Okay, Steve, do you,
Yeah, any other questions for tonight?
That just made me think of something. Because if I don't get a new phone soon, I might lose everything. My phone gets worse every day. Now, I was looking like you can still buy a 6s and 6S, 6S Plus, 7s No 8s, oddly. Then they jump up to 10s, but so
There never
and then
was a
I was
9.
thinking, right, but their 8, the 8S Plus or whatever, that was the first one that had the telephoto lens, and after that you had to buy the expensive Pro Maxes. So I'd always thought, oh, if I could just get an 8, the 8S Plus, then I'd have the camera at a cheaper price. But anyway, but you can't find them. Anyway, so if I can't afford like a new phone and I'm afraid of losing everything, I'm like, could you buy an old one, like 6 or 7, just to like transfer over so I wouldn't lose my information and just to have, but I don't want to create more problems for myself if, it's not, um, security issues or everything. But then you also just made me think of like, what if everything's on the iOS I'm using on this one, can I transfer it to a phone that was older and didn't work on the latest iOS?
Going backwards
Can't.
usually does not work.
Yeah, you can't go backwards. You can only migrate to current OS or newer. Um, but you can back up to iCloud so that
Yeah,
you don't lose your
but
stuff. You
right,
should have a
but
backup somewhere, either onto a computer or an iCloud or another
yeah,
device with the same OS or newer.
so I could go to an old phone as long as it ran the OS I'm currently running.
Yes.
So the phone model doesn't matter as long as it ran that OS. And I guess if it ran that OS, then it wouldn't have security issues, right?
Well, if it's not running the current OS, it will have security issues, yes.
I haven't updated to I think I'm still on 17. I don't think I updated to 18 yet.
They are still
I just,
updating 17. So
okay.
typically they update the current version and one, maybe 2 versions old.
Okay, so I have not gone to 18.3.2 yet.
18.4
That's,
is out now.
oh, it's telling me to upgrade to 18.3.2. Maybe 4 doesn't work on 11.
It doesn't know yet. If you say upgrade now, it'll say, "Oh, wait, there's an 18.4 now."
Oh,
The
okay.
last time it looked, it was 18.3, so that's what it's offering you.
Okay. So would it be? I don't know what OS 6s and 7s run at this point. Would it be smart to get like a $5 like 6 or something just to back up the phone, or should I not even bother and wait till I can just get a newer one? Because I mean,
It's
I
hard to
have no
say.
other device.
Yeah.
I have no other device to use for anything.
iPhone 6 can run up to iOS 12. So
Okay, so that's out.
you said you're doing 17 now.
Yeah.
So
Let's see.
so you need at least a 10s or later to run 17.
Okay.
What about
Or you use iCloud.
yeah, I was going to say, what about iCloud at $1 a month? That's 50. What is that? 50 gigs
50,
or
50 yeah, 50 gigs for 99 cents, 200 gigs for $2.99, or 2,000 gigs is $9.99. We wish there was
Yeah.
a step in between 200 and 2,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm on the
That's
$1 a month club, and I don't have that filled up. That's not even filled up for me.
Yeah,
And
but you've only had your phone like a month. I'm
yeah,
up
but
to the $10
I
plan
get
now.
how much data would you need to be storing?
Well, mostly it's probably for me photos because I have lots of
No, how
photos.
many gigs? How many gigs?
What's the $10 one? 500?
2,000.
Oh. But the problem is I have nothing else. So I can back it up to the cloud, but then I need some kind of device to use to access it.
Right, so the one copy on your phone, one copy on the cloud. Those are your 2 copies. So if you lose one,
Right.
you've got the other.
But when this phone dies, that's why I'm saying could I back it up to a really old phone so that I'd still have something that I could access something from.
Yeah, as long as it's running the same OS or newer.
Can you go to the cloud and download certain things to an older iOS, or not at all if it was saved from a newer one?
It depends on what things. Your contacts, your calendars, your files, and your photos are all individually accessible on iCloud.
So I could bring them to an older phone. like individually, manually?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
That's
Shirley and I share a 2 terabyte plan, and we're using more than 1 terabyte between us. I have 600 gigs in photos already.
Yeah, well, you take 1,000 photos on one day of an air show, I think is what you said.
Yeah. Although I only took 1,000 for 2 days, I think, this year.
Kind of restraining yourself. Huh?
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's
What's the $3 plan? Is what, 200?
200 gigs. Yeah.
Yeah, I filled that up. So, but yeah, then up to, what did you say, a terabyte?
$10 for 2 terabytes. So
Yeah,
we wish
there's
there was like a 1 terabyte plan for like $5.99 or $6.99.
yeah. It's an
All right.
unfortunate.
It used to be the $10 a month was 1 terabyte, so they doubled that. They just didn't bring down a cheaper version.
Why
You can
should
also
they when
back
they're
up to
making money?
you can also back up to a computer if you have a friend with a computer that will let you store all that data on it.
All right, Steve, I think you need to
Yep. Any last
end it.
questions?
No.
All right. This
Be
Saturday.
77 degrees here.
Yeah. This
I
Saturday,
have
sound bites from 12 to 2. Dennis is going to be on covering for me again. Go ahead, Charlie. You had something?
I just wanted to ask Bob Hoey. It's really more a topic for the board meeting, but I don't want to forget it. Is Awugu still operating after Mr. Piper's passing?
Yeah, I got a email from them, but I haven't responded yet. So,
Okay.
But yeah, it exists out there in the, in the world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There was a 318 meeting, and they talked about OBS, and I wanted to make it but couldn't.
Any Green Apples meeting Saturday, Bob?
Not this Saturday. I'm going to be out of town.
Okay.
All right, then I'm going to say good night to everyone. Thank you for coming.
Okay.
For those
Have
who
a
are
safe
going to
trip
come to the board
back.
meeting, we'll see you next week.
Yep. Have
Okay.
a safe trip back, everybody.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah,
Good
it's
night.
just going to be back in time. No leaves, no green grass, no blue sky. Put those jackets back on.
Yeah.
So I'm going
All
to
right,
leave.
yep.
So good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Okay.
Good night, all.